Why did Vance secretly wire dirty money to Kayla before his death? When NCIS started teasing Leon Vance's death earlier this season, most fans expected grief, political fallout, and maybe a leadership war inside the agency. What nobody expected was a mystery involving dirty money secretly transferred to his own daughter, and that single detail may completely change how fans look at Vance's final months. Because in the season 23 finale, Sons and Daughters, the show quietly revealed something terrifying beneath the emotional bombing investigation. Leon Vance may have known a much bigger extremist network was operating long before anyone else did. And if that's true, the money wasn't corruption, it was preparation. The finale hides this idea underneath emotional flashbacks, family drama, and the Mateo cliffhanger. But once you connect the clues together, Vance's actions start making disturbing sense. The episode begins by reopening the coffee shop bombing from 1 year earlier, the attack that traumatized Kayla Vance forever. Officially, the bombing had already been solved. Authorities labeled it a lone wolf extremist attack. Case closed. But Kayla never believed that explanation. And honestly, neither did Vance. That's the first major clue. Throughout the flashbacks, the episode repeatedly shows Leon encouraging Kayla to keep digging deeper into the bombing even after government agencies wanted the investigation buried. That matters because Vance wasn't reckless. He spent years inside intelligence circles. He understood how extremist networks work better than almost anyone. So if he doubted the lone wolf explanation, there had to be a reason. Then comes the second bombing. Same signature, same ideological messaging, same style of explosives. Suddenly, the isolated attacker theory completely falls apart. And this is where the dirty money revelation becomes important. LaRoche accuses Kayla of funding her private investigation using contaminated money tied to illegal channels connected to Vance. At first, the episode wants viewers to question whether Vance crossed ethical lines before his death. But look carefully at how the story frames those accusations. The show never actually proves Vance was corrupt. Instead, it repeatedly emphasizes secrecy. That's a huge difference. There's a moment many viewers probably overlook during Kayla's conversations with Parker and Casey. Kayla explains that after the bombing, she created her own unofficial investigative network to track extremist activity online. Not because she wanted revenge, because she realized someone was still out there. And somehow, she had funding to sustain those operations for months. That's where Vance comes in. The most likely explanation is that Leon intentionally rerouted untraceable funds to Kayla before his death because he believed official agencies were compromised or incapable of stopping the network. And honestly, the episode gives several clues supporting this. First, Vance never tells Kayla to stop investigating. He pushes her forward, even when it places her in danger. Second, the finale repeatedly focuses on legacy instead of innocence. That's important storytelling language. The episode isn't asking, was Vance corrupt? It's asking, how far would Vance go to protect people after realizing the system failed? Those are completely different questions. And then there's Isaac Wren, the anti-capitalist extremist author behind the radicalization movement. This character is one of the smartest additions NCIS has made in years because he represents modern digital extremism instead of traditional TV terrorism cliches. Wren doesn't directly build bombs himself. He creates ideology. He radicalizes vulnerable young men online and convinces them they're part of something meaningful. That's why the episode spends so much time showing manipulated sons, grieving fathers, and broken families. The title, Sons and Daughters, isn't just about Kayla and Mateo. It's about inherited damage. Children carrying the consequences of ideological wars started by older generations. And Vance understood that, which explains why he trusted Kayla specifically. Not NCIS leadership, not politicians. Kayla, because she experienced the bombing firsthand. She saw the victims. She carried Evan out of the explosion. Those flashbacks are emotionally devastating because they show exactly why Kayla became obsessed with uncovering the truth, especially the scenes involving the little boy she tried to save. That trauma changed her permanently, and Vance knew it. But here's the deeper layer many fans missed. The finale quietly suggests Vance was preparing Kayla for leadership long before his death, not necessarily as director immediately, but as someone capable of operating independently when institutions fail. There's even that emotional boxing scene where Vance stops treating Kayla like a child and starts speaking to her almost like an equal. That moment matters because fathers in NCIS often protect their children by hiding truth from them. Vance does the opposite. He lets Kayla see how dangerous the world really is. Now let's talk about the dirty money itself. Why use illegal or contaminated funds at all? Simple. Traceability. If Vance believed extremist groups had connections inside federal systems, using official resources would expose Kayla immediately. Dirty money becomes invisible money, unofficial money, money disconnected from bureaucratic oversight. And honestly, this wouldn't be the first time NCIS explored morally gray intelligence tactics. The franchise has repeatedly shown agents bending rules when institutions become compromised. What makes this different is that Vance involved his daughter. That's why LaRoche's accusations hit so hard. Because technically, Kayla may have broken rules, but emotionally, viewers understand why she did it. She wasn't profiting. She was hunting the people responsible for mass murder, and Parker recognizes that immediately. One of the best moments in the finale is when Parker tells Kayla she became exactly the kind of person Vance hoped she'd become: calm under pressure, focused, unbreakable. That line completely changes the meaning of the episode. Suddenly, the dirty money isn't about scandal anymore. It's about trust. Vance trusted Kayla more than the system. Now, here's where things get darker. There's a strong possibility Vance knew his own death was connected to this extremist network somehow. The show never confirms it directly, but there are subtle hints everywhere. Why introduce suspicious financial transfers now? Why connect Vance's legacy to hidden extremist cells? Why emphasize institutional tension between Parker and LaRoche during the same investigation? It feels intentional, almost like the writers are planting seeds for season 24. Especially because LaRoche seems unusually eager to shut parts of the investigation down. That behavior feels suspicious. Some fans think LaRoche simply wants power. But what if it's bigger than that? What if Vance discovered infiltration inside federal agencies before his death? That would explain everything. The secret funding, the secrecy, the private investigations, even Kayla's paranoia. Remember Mateo's warning to Torres near the end? They could be watching. That line feels bigger than the immediate cliffhanger. It suggests surveillance, networks, hidden observers, and suddenly the season finale stops feeling like separate storylines and starts feeling connected. Mateo infiltrating NCIS mirrors extremist infiltration everywhere else in the episode. That parallel can't be accidental. The finale keeps asking the same terrifying question in different ways. How do you fight an enemy that already exists inside trusted systems? That's why the ending works so well emotionally, because nobody feels fully safe anymore. Not McGee, not Torres, not even NCIS itself. And the gunshot cliffhanger only amplifies that fear. Now let's address the biggest fan debate. Was Vance right? Morally, that's complicated. Legally, probably not. But emotionally, the finale clearly wants viewers to sympathize with him. Leon Vance spent years protecting institutions, only to realize institutions sometimes fail to protect innocent people. The coffee shop bombing exposed that failure completely. A little boy died, families were destroyed, and authorities settled for a simplistic explanation because it was easier politically. Vance couldn't accept that, so he trusted his daughter to continue the fight after him. That's tragic, but also incredibly human. And honestly, it gives Vance one of the strongest exits in modern NCIS. Not because he dies heroically, but because his final actions reveal who he really was underneath the title of director. A father, a protector, someone willing to sacrifice his reputation if it meant exposing the truth. That's why the finale hits harder after you rethink the dirty money storyline. At first, it sounds like scandal. By the end, it feels like desperation. Vance wasn't trying to hide corruption. He was trying to finish a war nobody else realized was still happening. And season 24 may reveal just how deep that war really goes. Because if the extremist network truly extends into federal systems, then Leon Vance may have died knowing NCIS itself was already compromised. And if that's true, Kayla just inherited far more than her father's grief.